Welcome to the first episode of The Media Plan, a weekly program to cover performance marketing headlines. I'm your host, Zaryn, and our first story today is the recently announced integration between TikTok and the ByteDance-owned app Lemon8. So here's your brief. TikTok has integrated with Lemon8, another ByteDance-owned platform, as a strategic move amid the rising threats of a potential US ban. Now it says that this integration is going to allow users to cross-promote between the two apps, aiming to expand user engagement. So you're able to log in from Lemon8 using your TikTok account. And if you're posting content on TikTok, it makes it very easy for creators to go also and post content into Lemon8. Now, obviously, the backdrop here is that the move is seen as an effort to diversify the ecosystem and strengthen TikTok as regulatory pressures mounting against that ban. Now, for context, Lemon8, the app, which basically appeals to lifestyle influencers and has sort of like a photo-led Instagram aesthetic, was launched in Japan in 2020 and then expanded into other markets, including the US, and it launched globally in 2023. Now, it's had about 25 million downloads globally as of September 2024, which sort of pales in comparison to TikTok at 1.5 billion. And the context here is that the app has actually seen declining usage. In fact, some recent estimates suggest that daily user activity is as low as 6K. So again, not really a platform that's on and popping. In fact, the New York Post reported in March of 2024 that ByteDance was paying influencers to push Lemon8 as the ban was looming. And I think the algebra of this is really, potentially, this could be a play to have an app as a backup in the US, so that if TikTok is banned, there's a place for their creators and their users to migrate over to. Now, another context here is that the suit right now for the TikTok ban is only aimed at TikTok. It is not aimed at other ByteDance-owned properties. However, that could change down the line. For context, ByteDance does own other pretty popular apps that are used in the US, particularly CapCut, the video editing app that ByteDance claims that is probably second in terms of downloads next to TikTok in the US, close to 44 million downloads in the last year compared to 45 for TikTok. Now, I would love to know your thoughts. Do you think this is a move to preserve the TikTok audience in the US if there was a ban? And is there even a ban gonna happen altogether with this new administration coming in? Leave us your thoughts below. Our second story today brings us to Europe, where Meta has decided to offer ads with less personalization. Now, the brief here is that this is all in response to regulatory pressures from EU authorities. Meta claims that they're going to reduce the level of ad personalization for European users. This is in the context of the Digital Marketing Act, the DMA Act. Now, this regulation went into effect November 1st, 2022, and became applicable for most part of as of May 2nd, 2023. Now, this act aims on ensuring a high degree of competition in European digital markets by preventing large companies from abusing their market power and allowing new players to enter the market. Now, when we think of power in this context as a performance media, performance marketing advertiser in an algorithmic-led world, having a big budget and a lot of conversion data can give you a lot of power. So if you're able to leverage the personalization through an algorithm and the conversion signals that your campaigns can get, that can create a situation where new entrants, small businesses coming in that doesn't have that conversion data, that isn't benefiting from the vast resource of data that Meta properties are collecting on users, that would disadvantage small businesses or new companies entering the platform versus established players. Also important to keep in mind here is that the European market is quite important for advertisers, and it is quite important for Meta as a whole. Out of the 3.6 billion monthly active users, Meta reports EU users at 454 million, and from a revenue perspective, that represented 23% of their Q3 2024 ads revenue. So it's quite sizable. Now, the arguments here is that we're gonna level the playing field, so we're gonna let smaller brands that have less data compete. On the other side, performance marketers will be hurt. There is one silver lining here, and that's if you have a creative-led performance team, if you've operationalized creative testing, if you've resourced creative partners and even some creative analytic tech, you are going to be on the cutting edge of this world, because when there's less signals being used and there's less personalization, creativity and content need to lead the way in this situation. Another algebra of this situation is that this might mean that as a performance marketer, you might need to de-risk by spreading some of your investment in the EU market away from Meta, which might be the lion's share for many advertisers, and into alternate platforms such as a LinkedIn, a Snapchat, a Reddit, or into some other channels. But those are my thoughts. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Is this going to affect advertisers? Is this going to benefit users? Is this going to benefit smaller businesses? How do you make sense of all this? Leave us your thoughts below, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.